his man. But I vowed I would serve him till I died. And that's the kind of commitment I have. I've been asked, why didn't you take on the role of a goodwill executive, be the top CEO? I made a promise to a man. I believe strongly if you make a promise, keep it. If it's at all possible, keep it. And so I made a promise to a man that kept me out of that role of serving as CEO in three different times in my life. But I believe my word. And my father said to me as I was growing up, a man is no stronger than his word. You can't trust him. If a man is a liar, you can't trust him. You can't depend on him. You can build a pyramid of lies for every lie you tell. He would say to me, you tell 7 other lies to cover the one, and when you finish up, you got a pyramid built, and you don't know what you started out with. When I tell what happened to me, I know what I've said, and I know where I've been.
If you could give words of inspiration or encouragement to young black men, what would you say to them?
I'd say to them, remember you're black first of all, because it's when they forget, as my son did. My son's been shot at twice. But they get the little white girls, and I had the little white girls, being an athlete, I had the little white girls chasing after me, the skirts as my father would call them. But I had sense enough because my father had said, you play with fire when you deal with the little white girls. You deal with a white woman, you're playing with fire. It'll burn you. And though there will be marriages that will come about, mixed marriages, that N-word will pop up invariably in some of the conversations, and I've talked to some, and they invariably tell me, yes, it pops up. They say, well, I slipped, I didn't, but it should have never been in the brain capacity. Should have never been there. For the black man, it's a rougher road to hoe. I use farming terms because I hoed a lot when I was a boy. For the black man, if he can remember that, my father would also say to me, little old man, I don't care what kind of clothes you put on your back, they can be stripped from you. But what you put here, no one can take it away. And my mother would say to me, why then try? And I said, because my dad said I should. And he said, you have it in you. And she said, but if you don't get a chance, say you get married and you have a family. What good is that education? It won't make you more money. And I said, Mother, it's not what it won't do for me, it's what it will do for my offsprings, if I have any. They will be better off. You don't think about yourself. We find ourselves when we lose ourselves in thinking about others. That's one of the reasons I've been blessed to get that prestigious award. I hope you don't mind me touching your shoulder. But that's one of the reasons. The men, all 5 of the judges came to me. I knew one of them. The other 4 I never met. They came to me after the affair, and they said, Mr. Bluford, they referred to me as doctor. I don't use the term doctor very often, unless it's something of critical nature when the white man knows what it stands for. Then I'll use it. Because the term doctor and 3 masters hanging on my wall, when we became accredited as a rehabilitation facilities, the first question the white lady asked me, what makes you think, in a sarcastic tone, what makes you think you're qualified to do the work you're claiming to do? I said, the work that I am doing, the qualifications are in my file, but you didn't look close enough. And she said, show me. And I flipped over to the miscellaneous file in my file. I said, you will see there's a high school, there's a degree, master's degree from the University of South Dakota, there's 2 masters from Covington Theological Seminary, and there's a doctorate from Covington Theological Seminary. Why are they not on the board? People, if you have an education, they figure they're too little for you to waste their time on. That's why I'm there. And when people tell me, Grady, don't spend time working with the people, I say, what better place to work? You then know what they're going through. You then can make corrections. You can't make corrections sitting in the front office, not valid ones. You need to be out and be among them. My boss, we lost 2 contracts once because we had different people quit. And they both told me, you'll lose all your contacts because I've quit. And I said, well, I'm glad you think that way. So I went out among the workers and I said, can you do me a favor? They said, what is it, Mr. Bluford? I had one that trust because I had worked with them individually and collectively. And they said, what do you need from us? I need you to help me to do this so that you don't lose your job. They bent over backwards. My boss said, how did you do that? I said, I work with them. I worked with them before we got into a crisis. I worked with them when we got into a crisis. You have to be the same. You can't be like a salamander. I don't know if you know about salamanders or not. Salamander is a little animal, little creature. He slithers along and he blends in with the space that he's in. I have to be true. You as black men need to be true to yourself. And you can't really be true to yourself until you find God. Forgive me for being that blunt. I know I'm not supposed to talk about education. My father would have been in jail if they'd have had corporal punishment. The razor strap. I got 7 whippings with a razor strap. The first one was for lying. I got 2 of them because I used the word try and can't. In my family, I grew up with try was an excuse to do nothing, can't never did anything. And so I couldn't have any part of either one of them. It was I expect, and I will determine when you've met the standard to the best of your ability. So I've always lived and functioned on expectation. We have not enough of that today. We throw people out into the stream and say, swim. That's the major reason that the Indian's in the problem he's in today. The Indian, the white man put him on the reservation and gave him a bottle of whiskey and said, we'll take care of it. The black man that didn't want him free, they said, get out and fend for yourself, means you're free. We had to begin to use what's up here. But I've been a part of the police system advisory committee where we established they're not supposed to be doing it anymore, but I don't believe them. Using the clubs on beating people, black men in the kidney area and then across the shoulders, because you can't prove anything. They're not supposed to have any brutality at all. But you know, and I know, behind the scenes, and they're an organization that sticks together. I've had the policemen tell me, we want your fingerprints. And I said, if I can help it, you'll not have them. I've not done anything for them to have them. They told me I was the only black male in Sioux City they didn't have at one time in my life. And I said, it'll be a cold day in hell when you get it. And I still feel that same way. The black man has to set an example. I was frustrated because I could see no blacks in history. And I said, my life will account for something. With the grace of God. I couldn't do it by myself. You probably saw the article that they wrote on me. Yeah. And I'll run out, if you don't mind, I'll run out and get you the gift.
Sure.
So you can see what you can attain, but you got to work at it diligently.